Hey, Gavon and everybody on YouTube, this is Poteen and I am doing a Yellow Line BEORNING video. Now, there are two classes that I consider almost unkillable, and one of them is the one I'm playing with the BEORN, and the other one is Blue Line Warden. But that's beside the point. We're going to be doing Yellow Line BEORN, which is more heal heavy than the Blue Line BEORN, which is more mitigation and tank heavy, which is my personal favorite is the Blue Line. Yellow Line, though, it does a lot of area effect heals, really great in group combat, really great in instances, raids, can be up close and do a lot of healing to a lot of the DPS that's close. But I'll be soloing it today. And with that, we'll go through first the LIs. No, well, actually, we'll go through the class traits, the ratios, which really aren't as important, except for if you get certain ones, they can be super important. But otherwise, most of them are kind of just to help you out or quality of life stuff. But some of them do actually help out some of the stats. Then we'll do our virtues, the LIs. I'll go through a rotation. We'll combat our way as deep as we can into the instance. And then I'll go through the recap of the rotation. Either I'll die, we'll quit, or we'll finish the instance, and then I'll recap all the rotations, and then I'll say my farewells, and then that'll be it. But with that, too, just let everybody know I do stream daily on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok. With that being said, I do the official LOTRO stream every Saturday from 7 to 9 for the Standing Stone and LOTRO and the LOTRO stream team. I just started this week, Sundays and Mondays. I'll be doing EverQuest as an official content creator, so that's pretty exciting. I just got the news on Discord yesterday. And on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I now do Dungeons and Dragons Online, which I'm really enjoying. So with any of that, you can leave comments, all that stuff. If you need to get a hold of me immediately, always whisper me on Twitch. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Okay, so with all of that, we will begin. So with Yellow Line, it is called the Roar Line. This provides healing and motivation to your allies. So I'll go through all of these. I'll go through why I picked them and what my thoughts were. The first one is Encouraging Strike. So strike enemy with slash, outgoing healing modifier is increased. So that's nice. I am going to do Debilitating Bees. It does a physical mitigation on my bee debuff, which you'll see me use quite a bit because these are signatures. Torrent, so fate and critical healing magnitude is increased. Imposing presence, so I will fear some, especially if they're bigger mobs or if I'm pulling multiples. Using Rush and Bear form now applies to your fellowship, so that's pretty cool. That's just the kind of to help out your so improved heart. Heart is going to be a hot, so I improved that by 15%. Desperate Shouts, so reduces the wrath cost of your next wrath consuming ability by 100%. So anything after using Vicious Roar, Shake Free. This is obviously going to be the awesome how you get out of mobilizing or demobilizing ability. So anything that will stun, slow, anything like that. It'll give me a bubble for 15% of my max morale. Takedown. This is what I just like to use because it does knockdown for 5 seconds. It just kind of buys you a little bit of time. Raging Blow. This is increasing my swipe, but it also debuffs. So applies to target with Mark of Grimborn. I'm going to be using Grimborn on myself. If I'm in a group, I will throw it on tanks, anything like that. It will give them buffs, which is kind of nice. Nature's Fury. This is outgoing healing modifier. So as I'm healing myself or healing the group, obviously all of this stuff adds up to healing even better. Nature's Mend. This is just a nice heal. Has a short cooldown. You'll see me using it in man form a lot. Nature's Salve. So now increases the effectiveness of Nature's Salve, which is one you'll see me use in bear form. Leveling Roar. So this is another one, but it increases takedown, loses its damage, but now can be used at range. So that's kind of nice. You can pull with it if you need to. Now this is all of the Nature's Men, all the way up to tier 4, which is crazy. Nature can now be inducted on the move, and Nature's Mend is now tiered healing with 4 tiers. So it reduces the induction, increases healing Nature's Mend. At the highest rank, unlocks highest Nature's Mend, which is obviously a lot of healing. But it is a quick heal, can be done on the move, and it adds wrath, so that all is kind of nice. Piercing Roar, this is what I like to kind of open up with, especially in bear form. It does, I don't open up with it, I guess. I end with it. It does outgoing damage, and so it's a debuff and red speed. This one obviously increases it. So to your aid is actually a human form heal with your attacks, which is only really done in bears, so that's kind of cool, especially in blue line. Overbearing, so this is just a revive. And Nature's Bound, this is another one. So I redirect a portion of healing you receive to your friend. So 70% of all incoming healing is redirected to the target with Nature's Bond skill. So pretty cool. Sorry about that. That was ready. The hide, I obviously wanted more vitality. This doesn't hurt in a group, but in when I'm soloing, it absolutely helps a ton. And then I did do Hardened Heart. So what this does is when I use my heart, I'm actually going to increase my wrath per second too. So it's just a way to kind of build wrath. This is Nature's Salve, which we saw I increased. This is Aid of the Assault. So your relentless attack boosts the morale of your allies, which you're going to see down here. This is going to heal as I'm doing Relentless Maul, which is kind of your channel ability. Grimborn Strength. So when I have Grimborn's Mark on, Sacrifice causes you to negate 25%. It also gains increased healing if I use Heart, and Heart refunds Wrath cost upon use. Also, Cleanse cooldown is redirected, or reduced by 5%, which is pretty huge. So this is a consumes a portion of Wrath to restore morale on your target and their fellowship. So this is just an area effect heal. This is Honey Cleanse. So this is going to be my cleansing ability, which is going to get rid of dots, plagues, disease, things like that. After using Cleanse, your next healing skill gains 10% critical chance for every poison, disease, fear, or wound. Greater Swarm. By the way, just so if you know how these unlock, once you've unlocked this level in any one of these builds, it'll unlock Nature's Solve if you're in Yellow Line. So I guess I should have explained that. Greater Swarm, Beast Swarm damages over time now affects the enemies around the target. So just kind of area affects the dot. Your healing skills have a 20% chance to restore 5% of max morale ally, bearing the mark of Grimden. So this is your Yellow Light class traits. This is just something I use. Obviously, you can switch stuff up. I am no expert in any of this. I just try to break them down. But if anything feels uncomfortable, anything that I think will affect your gameplay personally, then don't use it. Do anything that makes you comfortable. I think you'll be a better player if you just use the stuff that you enjoy, not just the stuff that I'm pointing out. I'm just giving you a basic knowledge and foundation of it, and you can use it any way you wish. Okay, so racial traits. Obviously, bake honey cake. I like the honey cake. It is going to be, it's one of those. It's awesome to have an ability that you can eat stuff, especially a class that you eat stuff, you keep that morale up and stuff. It's very cool. I like it a lot. Emissary. This is going to be, so it gives me fate. Obviously, I like the clubs, so in Yellow Line, I do use a two-handed club. But this does axes or clubs, but it does increase them by 5%. Now remember, percentages are usually way better than just numbers, because it's percentage of your total and not just like 10,000 or 1,000 of anything. This is Return to Grimborn's Lodge. And then I have Feral Presence, which is going to be a way to get Fade up for 10 minutes. So just kind of a buff. Alright, so Virtues, I'm going to go more tanky. Obviously, I want to stay alive. But also, even if I'm in a group or an instance, I'm going to be battling up close. I'm not really going to hang back. This is one that's going to be fighting up close, so use that appropriately. Try to survive for as long as you can. Also, so I'm using Charity. Charity is going to give me resistance rating, physical mitigation, vitality, and then my passive bonus is max morale. Compassion is going to give me physical mitigation, tactical mitigation, armor value, and for my passive, max morale. Justice. This is going to give me in combat morale regen, max morale, and tactical mitigation, and then for my passive is max morale again. For tolerance, it's going to be tactical mitigation, resistance rating, physical mitigation, and then for my passive is max morale. Honor. This is going to give me max morale, tactical mitigation, critical defense, and then passive bonus is also going to be max morale. All right, that's it for that. Let's go through our LIs. So for our legendary items, obviously I'm only level 90, so I don't have all the stats or anything. It's not a lot, but we'll go through what I can. So I'm going to pick Herald of the Owl, which is going to give me will, vitality, and outgoing healing. And then single target healing, obviously going to increase my single target healing by 60%. Once again, percentages, especially 60%, that's crazy. Usually it's about 5, or below, but this 16% is insane. Outgoing healing is just 96. So obviously, percentage, in this case, much more powerful than jumpers. And then encouraging roar. So encouraging roar initial healing will be 13. Well, it doesn't really matter. The numbers don't matter here because they're going to change as you level up. And as you get higher ones. So if you get uncommon, rare, things like that. So I'm just going to go through what they do and not really the numbers. So encouraging roar initial healing is increased. Outgoing healing rating is increased. Hardened heal strength is increased. And outgoing healing rating is increased. Relentless fall damage is increased. And also might is increased. And then my outgoing healing is increased there with perfect healing. So same thing here. I'm going to go with Herald of the Owl again. I like that will. I like vitality. Also, I like the healing rating, especially since this is kind of a healing build. My healing over time I increased here, and then my outgoing healing is increased. Now the healing over time, that's how they heal. That's how them and the Ruin Keeper basically heal. The Minstrels usually, there's a little bit of hot, but mostly just direct healing. Then to your aid healing. With that one, it's increased, and an outgoing healing is rating is increased. Nature Solve healing and cooldown. So Nature Solve healing is increased. Nature Solve cooldown is decreased by 2 seconds, and outgoing healing and rating is increased. And then Slam and bonus Wrath chance. So Slam will increase the damage. And also chance to bonus Wrath from Slam. And then my evade rating is increased. And obviously my output. Alright, so that is my LI. So let's go through the rotations here. And I did learn a little trick, so we'll show you how that is. So this is Slash. In order to keep them up, I can just keep them up here now. If you just hover over it and then press the R, or I'm sorry, H, it'll actually just keep them up here and you can move them. So I can show you the rotation I'm going to be using. Now, I like to, and you don't necessarily have to, but in the beginning you might want to use the human form. Human form is technically for building wrath, and bear form is technically for spending wrath. But with certain abilities like Thrash, you can still build wrath in bear form and just stay in bear form for the most part. That's totally up to you. You'll see me go in and out of them. It's just a habit, but also I kind of like the fact that you go in and out of bear form. So this will be my first little rotation here. Then I'll use Slash, Slam, Biting Edge, and then I'll use To Your Aid. This is all just my kind of starter, just my building wrath abilities. Then I like to use, this one I don't really use all that much. But obviously, if you use it over and over, it's going to build the tier up. And see how it's getting stronger. It's at 3. Now it's at 4. This is the strongest it'll get. And then it'll go into a long cooldown. And then, well, I guess the same cooldown, but then it goes down to mid. I like to use Harden. Harden is going to be my heal, also heal over time. And it also builds a little bit of wrath. So you'll see me use these. Obviously, you can tier those up, as I said. This is kind of what I go into next. I just hit these. I will sometimes, if it feels like I'm going to need some Wrath built, I will also add this one, because it builds Wrath, reduces the cost of your next Wrath-consuming skill. And then, in order for me to switch into bear and human form, I like to target myself or other creatures. If nothing's around, I target myself with just F1. And then, instead of using bear and human form, I actually just use the slash and thrash ability. See, so if I'm using slash, I'll turn into a human. If I'm using thrash, I'll turn into a bear. That's how I swap in and out. But if you don't target anything, you can't switch. So make sure you target somebody or yourself. Okay, now for the bear. If I'm taking some damage, I will start to use my heals. But I don't usually normally because my tier of mending and heart will keep me alive for long enough for this rotation. And this rotation is going to be Thrash, then Vigilant Roar. And I'm doing them kind of reduced by cooldowns. Leveling. So you can obviously use Piercing Roar first because you do get the reduction of output damage by them, so you do reduce them and debuff them. But for the most part, why I use this way is cooldowns. 10-second cooldown, 30-second cooldown, and 30-second cooldown. I know I can start using these two immediately, much quicker than the other one. So that's kind of why this rotation is. But if you want to debuff first, you can obviously just move Piercing Roar with Vigilant. Now, Thrash has a short cooldown, but also it adds Wrath. So this is how you stay in the bear form. You just use Thrash over and over. Which you'll see me do, especially when I'm fighting a lot of stuff. So that's my first little rotation. If there's a lot of targets or there's a big guy, I will throw Beast Swarm on in between there. It does a lot of dots, does a lot of damage, also does a physical mitigation. So I'll put that usually on the big guy. You see me use it on bosses, things like that. If I'm in a lot of trouble. So I won't go through a lot of trouble yet, but I will show you these. These are the heals I use. The first one is Encouraging Roar. Why I like this, obviously it does some morale, but if I'm marked, I get a hot. So if I have Grimborn on a target or myself, it'll give it a hot. Otherwise, it's just a regular direct heal. This one has a little bit longer cooldown. By that, I mean 0.1 or what? 1.5 seconds. And then these are both heals I use, but this one is technically an area effect. And you'll see it obviously does. You can see it on the ground. It has a cool effect. And then if I'm in trouble, I do have Nature's Solve, which is a very fast heal. And then if I'm in a lot of trouble, I will use Relentless Maul, which will constantly healing me. And I'm also immune at the same time I'm healing constantly. So it's kind of nice. But just to let you know, it is what I use when I'm in trouble. Solve is this, Nature's Solve is the same thing. Kind of a get out of jail. Now, I am using Grimborn on myself, but you can obviously put it on other people. It's a toggle skill, especially when you're healing other people. There's Fear, which is Grizzly Cry. I do use it every once in a while. Nature's Roar, this removes corruptions and things like that. So it's obviously nice to cleanse yourself, especially when you're playing maybe on the legendaries or at higher end. I do have Shake Free. This is going to be my immobilizing skill remover. And then I have my Cleanse, which is going to remove up to 3 diseases with Fear. And then Vicious Roar. This is obviously just a Wrath builder. I think with that is about that. I mean, there's Rush. You can use that with groups. Wanderlust is going to be your yourself, like mobile. Rare or bake honey cake, which obviously I try to keep 10 at all times. And I think that's about it. Oh, need to talk to myself. So I'm going to eat some cake. Okay. So here we go. Let's get started. I'm going to start off. I mean, I'm already at max Wrath, so I could technically just start off as bear form, which I'll show you a little bit. There he is. So I'm going to go through all this. And then I'm just going to keep my, because I have Grimborn on, I'm potting myself also. And then I'm just going to do Wrath. Cleanse myself when appropriate. Use Vigilant Roar and Crash as much as possible. When my heal kind of comes off, I'll throw it back on. I mean, is it a fast killer? No. Especially, I'm doing a 6-man here. I think it's only tier 1. I don't know if I can do this. I think I can. But this is a pretty bulky mob, too. Now, you might see me overheal a bit, especially when the worm comes out. The worm, even though it has less hit points, it is a DPS creature. I think this scales because of what we're doing here. Now I'll show you my human form here. Once again, I can just do this up. Not really a big problem. Every time it comes out, I'll just tier it. I think we're at tier 3. Gotta be 2. Same thing here. Let's fear 1 for fun, because we haven't done it yet. He resisted, so that's fine. Now we'll go through the human form again. Because we do like heart. Obviously, men we can tier up again, as I said. Plus, this one has an area ability, which is that right there. Who's biting edge of the We're gonna cleanse ourselves. But you can even fight in human form. It's not a big deal here. And it tells you what you just cast there. I cast tier 2. This one's tier 3. Now tier 4. Now the reason I dropped a little bit of hit points there is, as you kill some of these, sometimes the worms are respawning. We're gonna go to tier 1 again. And I'll just show you, you can't fight in human form. It is pretty effective. Heart is obviously nice ability there. Tier 3. And you also have the aid, which is right there. That's a back heal. But yeah, it's very viable, especially with your men fight in human form, because it does tier all the way up to 4. And then you're just gonna use slash to do it over. Slam is obviously a big hit in this one because of the yellow line. And I think this is 8 seconds. 12 seconds, though. So there you go. I mean, not too bad. That's obviously human form. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because you're not really a bear. You're a BEORNING. You know, you're not really a bear or a human. You're a BEORNING. But I was just showing you, you can tier that up. Bear form, I think Scratch probably hits a little harder. The roars are a little bigger. So, staying in either form doesn't really matter. The human form is going to be a little more active because you're trying to tier up your men. Plus, you also have heart. More of a direct damage or heal yourself. This one is more of a heal area effect. So either one will work, but you just, I mean, like, if you're in a group, Bear's probably more efficient. If you're just healing, like, one player, like you're in an instance, and you just do it one person at a time, then maybe you might want to just stick with human form. Because you're just going to kind of lay back. But both are very viable in this one. Just not really. It's just, they're just played a little differently, I guess, would be it. At some point, I will show you the ball. Which is a heal and channel damage. Now, we're probably going to pull there. I was just going to tell you. We're probably going to pull something on here. I'm going to throw a little piece on him. I'm going to cleanse. You will see a little bit of overhealing. Maul is also a great way to do damage. I'll just show it to you. So Maul is shift 2. It looks like this. You heal and you're immune, and you're in an immune state. You only have an initial heal, but as you can see, it does quite a bit of damage. It is a nice way to do that. So basically, I'm just building Wrath and spending it on my this one right here, Roar, I believe. Yeah, encouraging. Obviously, when you're fighting in groups too, using the Storm is good because it does do a little bit of off damage to the targets around it. So Bear Form is, I guess, it's not lazier, but it is a little easier to fight in because you're really only pressing the 3 buttons. A human form, you have to keep that men tiering. Like here, I'll do feasting. I'll go through this whole rotation. I'll bring heal on. And then let's just do maul. Plus, I think maul does do a little bit of damage. You know what? Now that I look at it now. I think it was the Swarm that was doing most of the damage. A Roar, you can also, it's ranged. Which is up to 30. This one's up to 10. This is another little nasty mob here. So we'll probably throw some stings on him. Now, me personally, with the mitigations, I like Blue Line myself personally better, just because this time, if you can't really out-heal him sometimes, you can get in a little trouble. If you have another person that's not you, it can get a little for sure. But another thing is, Slash doesn't tier, and Thrash does tier, so that's another reason why the Bear Form does a little bit more damage. Because obviously at tier 3, it's going to do more damage than tier 1. Slash does not tier at all. Now with this one, right, let's just pull them in. Well, I like to pull with that sometimes to stay. And I'm going to go through this whole thing, go through the whole ability. We're gonna do that, we're gonna do Heart. Because Heart does stay on you when you go into Bear Form. So especially with area effects, sometimes, or with multiple mobs, sometimes it's better to get that Heart and stuff rolling than come in here and start. Now with Maul, I like to get a little closer for some reason. If it feels like, it does something, maybe it's just in my mind. It's probably just in my mind. But yeah, I do like to go into Bear Form or Human Form, get all that heals rolling before I drop into Bear Form. It's just a lot more heals going. All right, this is gonna be it. We pulled everything, so we're gonna do everything we can. It's gonna get weird. You're about to see how it goes. I'm gonna try to drop one as fast as possible. Because here's the thing, when we kill these right, worms are gonna come. I'm gonna use Sting. I'm gonna build Wrath. This is my solo. Now, I'm just gonna go out and say, this was an awful pull. Bad by me. I thought I would be able to hit that corner and not pull that whole group. I pulled all the mobs in there and the 2 that wander. But I think it shows the survivability. I guess bear, I should say cat. But like right now, I can switch back to bear form, get my heart rolling again. And drop right back in. Because the heart is a nice mod. So that could have been a disaster, and for many classes, that would have been the end. I would have died. So I hope this see, I pulled this whole room. Yeah, that was not great. But with the BEORNING, you can be a little lazy, because they are, like I said, the Warden, blue line, BEORN, yellow, and blue, can be unkillable. They're just sick. They're absolutely amazing. But freaking out's not going to help you live anyway, so you might as well just be calm and try to do what you can. I mean, either I was going to die there or I wasn't. It wasn't like there was... there wasn't very many options. So I just tried to keep my Wrath rolling, and my Solve for when my health got low. Because that's kind of, for me, my get out of jail card, which is the 9 button. Now he's gonna spawn worming. There it is. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna heal a little bit. I'm gonna throw my swarm on because I know my swarm does area. Then I'm just gonna build my Wrath. So I really keep my swarm now that with how it's set up. I really keep it for when there's multiples. Because it will do damage to anything that's kind of around it. There we go. Alright, we got multiples here. So this is going to be a 4-bowl. Because 2 of these are going to become... so at level, I think like level 80 or 70, in order to scale properly, they... I'm going to build... Wrath is like me. Once the swarm comes off, I use it. We're gonna get that bleed off. Now remember too, anything that's after a cleanse, any heal that comes after a cleanse, will be much stronger. Now the reason I'm taking so much damage here is the worms are... But with Maul, I can kind of recover my health. Which is another reason why you see me dip into it. To recover my health, it does damage, and it also makes me immune. So it is kind of my get out of jail before my get out of jail, if it makes sense. My Solve is technically my get out of jail. But it does have a longer cooldown, the Maul. So that's why you see me kind of wait until towards the endish, or I'm in trouble to use it. So that was a double bowl, because I'm good at this game. But you, like I said, you can be a little crazier with the BEORNING because of their ability to kind of stay alive. Now the Grimborn on me, it's huge. It is a big plus, especially the soloing, because you get so many buffs. I accidentally hit that. I thought I was a ball. We'll use the swarm again, because we're trying to damage that worm. Now, any of the really nasty mobs in here, they will pull worms. Not all the mobs in here, but like the rights, the higher end rights and stuff. In order to scale the dungeon correctly, they spawn worms about 25% when they're down. Yeah, when they're down about 75%. So to about 25%. Now I'm going to show you how to pull this guy. Get up on this pillar right here. It will pull him without pulling the main guy. What did they do? They fix that? Let's try it up here. Normally, the pillars, it's like a little stone there, and it's usually just enough. Alright, let's move up to the vase now. And then this too, my encouraging roar, it only does the hot if you have Grimborn on. Otherwise, it's just the direct hit. You don't get the bottom. And like I said too, Thrash tears, that's kind of why you want to stand barefoot and fight. It tears up to 3. So you will see, it'll go a little faster. Gonna heal here. But yeah, you can use Slash if you want to stay in. Maybe you have a cool outfit, maybe it's okay. Maybe you just want to kill mobs just a tad bit slower. So instead of like in like other games where like the bear is like a whole new armor set and stuff, that is not the case here. Blue line mitigation is a little better in bear, but that's only because of the abilities you have. But in the game itself, it's really just accessing different abilities, more wrath spending abilities. But see, it's a little bit slower. But maybe you like to just watch yourself swing. Now, I'm just going to kill this part here, just to kind of show you. It's really the Slash not tearing as much is really where you're missing some of the damage. But other than that, both are viable. You can fight in both. Especially in Yellow Line. There we go. Alright, so this is the main boss. We're just going to go after you. We'll wait for this guy. He's obviously going to spawn some. So what we're going to end up doing is probably fearing. He resisted it. I love it. He resisted it. I'm failing. So we're just going to do this so we can tear up our bed. And I want to get one more heart. Until these two are dead. Because then I'm going to focus just on the... But right now, you pull this guy, you get 2 ads. I'll put a little stinger on him. There we go. Now I'll put this on. Drop down and prepare for it. Because I want that little extra kick. I'm going to see here in a minute. Because he is tough. Now when you get to about 25% of the health, he's going to go green, and then some worms are going to spawn. Now, some of the worms that have low health, they are only going to be for... they're going to explode. And the ones that are signatures with bigger health, those are not going to explode. There should only be 2. Once you kill those 2, though, it should be over. And then you just got to make sure this guy's dead and those 2 worms are dead. And then if there's little worms left, they might explode a little bit. Now, right now, I'm just wrath building. It's about to go green here. There he goes. Now, same thing here. I'm going to get ready. I'm getting set for whatever's about to go down. I'm going to try to get some pots on here. Get some earth. Drop back to the first part. I want to hard it up for sure. This one you might see, I mean, you see me going with some bigger heals. Obviously, once the worms start exploding, there we go. He's down. I just gotta kill these 2 and make sure the other worms that explode don't kill me. I did use that. I have some solves still. I haven't used them. See right there, that's where they explode. See where the ground just gets kind of red. Now, once again, I'm going to use 8 because I want to build passively as we're about to take 1 down. Finish here. Heals up. See, they're exploding again, so I want to get out. But the actual big worms themselves, they love to throw you. So once again, I'm going to go to human form because I want to get Art, which is just an added. But also having men here is a thing. Now I'm going to drop that. Now, is it enough to switch in and out of bear form? For me, it personally is to switch in and out. But for a lot of people, maybe bear form isn't better as A. But it gives me more heal options, a little more damage options. That's why I go slip in. And there it is. That was the first boss. Right, yeah. I got money. Same thing here. I'm just gonna. Ooh, pick-a-boo. I'm gonna slip right back in the bear. If I can. Which I cannot. Okay, I'm gonna slip in the bear this time. For sure. For sure. We're gonna try to take the brothers out. I'm not too excited about it. But we'll see. Or not. I guess we can. Let's just end the video here. I felt like that should give you a pretty good understanding of how this cat works. Also a great way to just start group kills too. Like you saw me do up there, just because you can kill stuff pretty easily. All right. So with that, we'll go through the rotations again. Okay. So obviously, if I'm in human form, remember Thrash and Slash. This is how I turn into bear form and human form. Is Thrash and so if I target myself and I use Thrash, I'm a bear. If I target myself, or if I target somebody else and I use Slash, boom, I'm a human. All right, so that's the first ones there. We'll go through this real fast. Slash, Slam, Biting Edge, To Your Aid. I like to throw on Nature's Mend. Obviously, this tiers up to 4, 4 being the most powerful. And then Heart. Why I like that is it gets hot, it gets stuff rolling. It also starts to tier up my Mend in case I want to drop human form again. Then whatever I'm targeting myself or a mob. You can target a mob too, and it'll turn you into bear if you use Thrash. Then I like to use Thrash, Vigilant Roar, Leveling Roar, and Piercing Roar. And obviously you can switch Piercing Roar with this, but I do it because of the cooldown so I can hit 1 and 2 faster. If I have Grimborn on, which is this ability here, I have it on me or whatever target I have it on, it turns this ability into not just a direct heal, but also it adds hot. This is just a nice area effect healing. It's really good. And then if I want to stay in bear form, I'm just using Thrash over and over. Bear form will kill a little faster just because the Thrash tiers up to 3, so a little more damage. Multiple targets, I like to do Beauty Swarm because it does area effect damage. Before I get into trouble or I see my health going in a way I don't like, I will use Relentless Maul because it makes me immune, but it also heals me every second and does damage. You didn't see me use Vicious Swipe all that much. It obviously is an interrupt. No, costs less. And I have if Mark of Grimborn is present, my miss chance is increased, but also it interrupts inductions too. So you'll see me use it for that. This is my get out of jail card, Nature's Solve. It's a huge heal, and you only see me use it once. Not really a big deal, but that's kind of when I use it. You won't see me use this unless I'm in a raid. When I was killing the bosses and some multiple target stuff, I did use Vicious Roar. It's just a small way. Every second you get 5 wrath, and it reduces the wrath or reduces the cost of your next wrath consuming skill by 100%. So it's just a nice way to keep my wrath rolling, especially when I'm in trouble and I know I'm going to need it for heals. I did use a fear in the beginning. It didn't work, but Grizzly Cry is a way to do fear. This is Nature's Vigilance. I do use it, especially if you're like on legendary servers or in higher end. You want to get those corruptions gone, so that's a nice way to do that. My immobilizing remover is going to be shake free. Also creates a little bubble. My cleanse obviously is cleanse. I think that's about it for right now. I think so. You can do Wanderlust, and you can do this in instances too. It just makes you move a little faster. And it goes away when you're not. All right, I think that's about it. Once again, if you guys have any questions, anything like that, please leave in the comments. I get to the YouTube comments every 2 weeks, so I will reply back to you. I do have it as a reminder, that's why. I think that's about it. But yeah, as always, you guys, I want to thank you guys. It is an honor and a privilege to get to make these videos, to get to stream as much as I do. You guys are absolutely amazing. So make sure to catch me on my EverQuest, on my Dungeons & Dragons night, and on my LOTRO nights, which I do Thursday through Saturday, adding an extra stream in there for the official LOTRO stream. I think that's everything. But thank you guys so much. I do stream on Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. You can comment on any of those. I am on most social media platforms except for X, and I do not do Kick also. And if you need to get a hold of me for anything, or you have important questions, anything like that, the best way and quickest way to get a hold of me is Twitch. Otherwise, I will get to Discord eventually. I'm not great at it, but I will get to it eventually. Also, on Wednesdays, I will be streaming as a co-stream with the Paladin's Tavern on Dungeons & Dragons Online every Wednesday until otherwise. So I guess that's about it. As always, until I see you guys again next Friday night for this video, which I try to put out every Friday, that you continue your adventures with the Heart of a Hobbit. So thank you guys so much.